Veronica.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
Good, thank you. So I was thinking about homework.
Mm.
I tried to do my letter.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when uh, when do I have to finish this today, or we have to? You don't know.
No due date. No, I mean the goal is so that you can finish it when you can.
Okay.
I mean, like I know sometimes students feel like, okay, I don't know if you want a due date or that helps you. I would say, yeah, like on the slide here, I always give you things I suggest you do within the week. So I mean,
Mhm.
that's kind of my idea, but I also don't want to give you guys a due date so people get stressed out. So if you're not done yet, that's all good. And I guess my advice to you would just be like as soon as you can so that you can do other stuff would probably be
Okay.
good.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be my suggestion.
Okay. Yes, I'm finished, but I need to review
Love it.
and then post it.
Sure. That sounds great. All of that sounds great.
And I have my book now.
Are you ready for well we're going to introduce basically the first tutorial in there is what the lessons for this, for between now and next week, they're all going to be about tutorial one. So we're going to introduce some of those ideas today, and you'll be very ready for like I said, lesson 6, 7, 8, and 9. You will be very, very ready.
This lesson is in this book.
No, it's in if it says lesson on the screen, and I'll show you all this stuff in Canvas, but if it says lesson, it's going to be all stuff to do in our Canvas site.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll show you. Well, I can show you since it's just you and me right now. Let me put on the student view. So yeah, if you can go to a lot of places, modules, assignments, grades, you can
Yeah.
access, you can get there a lot of different ways. I usually use modules. So you'll see here, lesson 6, 7,
Okay.
8, 9. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't even be. Oh, perfect. Yeah, you can see. I think I've got to go back in here and fix something real quick, and I'll show you much more in class today about sort of how to do these lessons, and how to
Okay.
just more stuff about how the class works.
Okay. And this is book and is more to read, or what kind of book is this?
Yeah,
It's kind of
it's
different.
yes, it is. Yeah, it's not like if you've ever taken a grammar class before. Usually, you're to like fill in the blank or multiple choice test. That's
Uh-huh.
not really how I think humans learn. So you'll see, but really, it's. I'll click. You're going to hear me say this twice then, but so I've got for each of the chapters that we're going to read in this book, I've got a video. So if I open up the YouTube link here,
Okay.
a video sort of that I made, and what I do is I'll read through the chapter, I'll explain things, I'll show you examples, and so you can follow along in your own book. You can look at the stuff on the screen, you can look at the examples, and then after you watch the video, and after if you want, of course, I suggest that you look at the book and read anything that is difficult or interesting to you. And then if it's a lesson, like it looks like a quiz, but again, you can take the quiz 3 times. It's really not to test, do you get it perfect? It's to practice some of the most important ideas from the book.
And
And go ahead.
and the quiz is on under Canvas.
Yeah, so that's what it's like lesson. That this is lesson 6, but really it's just set up. I'll show you again. Anyone, if you're watching early, you're
So
getting a preview now. So it'll ask you, for example, it says complete the discover activity on page 4 and 5. And again, in the YouTube video that I have here, I explain all of this stuff too. But it
okay.
says identify each word in context as a noun, verb, adjective, adverb, and all these things. So I give you the word, and then you get to tell me which part of speech it is.
Oh,
But
okay.
again, this is not, like I said, this is not like a quiz, get it right or fail, because you can take the quiz 3 times. So really my dream, my plan, my goal is that these quizzes are just a way for you to help practice the ideas from the book,
Okay.
and a way for you to help learn the stuff that's in the book.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. That's the idea. Hey, Amanda.
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just came home and
Cold?
outside cold, very windy. Oh,
Yeah.
on the freeway, it's so scary.
Oh, was it people driving crazy?
Yeah, it's very windy in the freeway.
Wind, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're home and safe.
Yes, yes. Oh,
What happened?
many.
Oh, this is just teacher view. Don't worry. I'll stop sharing my screen if it scares you. I'll show you everything we're doing. I'll show you everything we're doing.
Okay.
Bomb has been planted.
Beep, beep. Yeah. Oh, Narcissus is here and Sandy's here. Hello, everybody. Good to see you guys. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. Just saying hi. I hope you're all ready for grammar, because today we really jump in. We really start to practice some stuff today.
I received my
We'll see
book.
if anybody comes. There were very few students at my other class. That's the book.
Yeah. And
That's the one.
yeah.
Cool. Haywood's here. Hi, Haywood. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Professor.
Recording in progress.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, good Professor.
Hi, Fajia.
Hi, I am Professor. Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Yes, what you have a question, Fajia?
No, I just come
good
in.
evening,
Hi.
Professor.
Hi. Hey, Hugh.
Hi, hi. Good morning. Good evening,
Good.
Professor.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, well, it's windy.
I know, windy and cold, and
the
yeah,
fan,
exactly.
the fan in front of my house collapsed.
Did it really?
Yes,
Oh, is everybody okay or any damage?
yes. Maybe tomorrow when the windy took over, I will visit again.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I know lots. I know there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of that going.
Recording. Делаешь тише. Звука только. Ой, видео включено и звук. А что я себя не знаю?
Hi, what can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you,
Yes.
Aziz. Hi.
Thank you. I just want to make sure my headphone was not working. Thank you.
No,
Hi, everybody.
you
Got
are
it.
absolutely good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Andra says hello in the chat. Zohra says, hey, everybody. Galina's getting some help from a technical computer expert. Like I said, we'll wait a few more minutes. We'll get started in about 2 or 3 minutes. Already, I'm happy people are here for my first Wednesday class. People, there were only 7 students. I don't know if it was the wind. People were cold. I don't know if people had your kids' school was canceled. I don't know what was going on. But I'm happy to see you all. And I hope you're ready to talk about parts of speech. Oh, yeah. Hopefully you'll be excited by the end of class.
Yes, we are.
Hello, Professor.
Hey, Val.
Hi, I have a question for you. What is the
Please.
hardest thing? What is the hardest thing when you teach drama? Like, what is the hardest part?
I think I have 2 short answers. One, for me, I love to teach. I love helping people. So I always want to teach everything. And it's hard for me to remember that you have to start small and then build. So it's hard for me because I always want to just say, here's everything you need to know all at once. But that's too much. That's not how humans learn. And then I think the second challenge with grammar is, Veronica was asking about this a little bit. She said, this book, is it for reading? It looks a little bit different. I think sometimes students feel like learning grammar means multiple choice quiz, fill in the blank, take a test on the verb ending. And in my opinion, that's not really how we learn. We learn and remember grammar rules when we use language to speak or to write. So I think sometimes the way that you're going to find out today about the way that I teach grammar, sometimes students are like, this isn't really grammar, or we're writing too much. We should just be taking quizzes and tests. But I promise, if you stick with me, if you trust me, after about 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to go, oh, I think students really start to see, instead of thinking grammar means verb endings, they think, no, grammar means like how I put all the parts of a sentence together to make the meaning I want to make. And that's different. That's a different way to think about it. So I think sometimes that's really, really challenging. Zohra says, I want to learn about the parts of speech because there are a lot of rules. Zohra, you're going to be very happy today. Everything today is parts of speech. And really, and to Bao's good question, you know, we start with parts of speech, and in Grammar 310, I think sometimes students think, we're talking about nouns and adjectives. That's so basic. That's really beginner. And that's true. Some of the things we talk about, you learn early. But when you start to see how a noun is important to create a noun phrase, and how a noun phrase can be a subject or an object, and then you start to see how a phrase and a clause are different. And if you put the phrase at the beginning or the clause at the beginning, that changes the punctuation. You really start to see all these things are very connected, right? And I think that's the reason I don't like grammar just means grammar tests, because that's the opposite, right? It's like ed or ing. Well, okay, but I mean, like, what type of sentence are you doing? Are you talking about something? Are you talking about a story? Are you talking about a book? Are you, you know, what's the purpose of your meaning? So I think, yeah, you'll see. And you'll either like it, you'll like my style, or you'll never take a class with me again. That is all good. There's lots of different teachers, lots of different ways to learn, lots of different options. So yeah, that was, I said I'd be short, Bao, and then I just talked for 3 minutes. So that was not short. That was way too long. Good. Amanda, please. Yeah. And then we'll get started. I think we'll get started with whoever is here. Please, Amanda.
Yeah, before I shared my learning experience, and this class is my first time, first academic English class.
I remember, yeah.
And then I didn't know. I just gave my test. My placement test was intermediate high level, and now I just bought for myself this book. I bought this book.
Oh, great book! I love those books.
Yeah, then I just when with this book, I just myself study from this book.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Intermediate learners of English. Then it's okay. I have to use it, but just extra class for myself. Just
no, I love that book. In fact, you will see in a few weeks. I have the pink book, the different level, but I'll have pages and exercises in Canvas for you to review from those books because I love them. They're British English, so it's a little bit different, but they are good exercises. Yes, Cambridge, exactly. But they are good exercises. And I think I don't want to make you guys buy 2 books. It's too expensive. But what I love is I love the book that we're using in this class, Language Power, because it will teach you the rules, right? Now, English grammar in use is good to practice a new rule. I don't think English grammar does a very clear job teaching the rule, but to practice the rule and look at examples, it is so helpful. So I think doing both together is a great idea, Amanda. Thank you, Zohra. Thank you, Zohra. Zohra was in the W50 class. She's just trying to get a good grade. She's just saying how amazing I am. I'm teasing you, Zohra. I'm teasing. Okay, let's get started. And thank you, Amanda, for sharing that book. When we keep semester, I'll tell you all the, my suggestions, things that I think you can do to improve, ways to practice, all that stuff. All right, so let's get started. Today is Wednesday, January 27th, cold, windy, rainy, 2021. And I'll tell you what we're doing. Here's our agenda, our plan for today. So we're going to do a quick check-in and then make sure you have time to ask any questions if you need. Then we're really going to start to introduce the parts of speech, because the first few lessons that I will ask you or suggest that you do this week are in tutorial 1 of the book, and it's all about parts of speech. So that's what today is. I'm going to introduce some of those things, and we'll get to practice some of it together. So that's what we're doing today. Before I get started, I do want to show you in Canvas. So if you're watching this recording, because you're not here, we miss you. But if you're watching the recording, you probably already know where to find it. And I just want to make sure everybody who's here too knows where to find the PowerPoint presentations and our recordings. So again, if you go to our homepage here for our G310 class and you click live support materials, you'll see here's the PowerPoint presentation from last week. If you click the link, you can review everything that I shared on my screen last week. And you can also click on this link to the Zoom recording. Again, I think some people already found this and watched it. I could see, some people saw it on YouTube, but I just wanted to make sure I show it to you guys and remind you that if you need, one reason I put it in YouTube is if you need extra, there I am, you can add the closed captioning, and if it helps you to read or understand sort of what I'm saying when I'm speaking. So if you need that, don't forget, you probably already know it, G310, but if you need to, you can turn the closed captions on. That will work for our Zoom recordings as well. Okay, so just a reminder, if we talk about any, and especially for those of you guys who are here, right now I can see Galina and Hewad and Amanda. If we talk about something, or if I talk too fast and you want to review or remember anything we talk about, just remember all the recordings are there on the live support materials page. So let's get started. So I'm going to put you into small groups. Again, we're only going to go for about 5 minutes, but I do want you to talk to each other. So here's the first question. It's about sort of, well, both of these questions are really about how the class is going so far, even though it's only been a week. So here's one. How do you feel about the class and the lessons from last week, our first week? And is there anything you're still confused about or need help with? This is a little bit of a warm up just to make sure people don't have questions about the Canvas website or class or Zoom meetings or anything. I want you to talk to each other for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll get started with parts of speech, okay? Any questions about what I want you to talk about in your group? All right, talk to each other. Remember, if you turn your camera on in your small group, you are not being recorded. So if you want to, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So talk to each other for a few minutes, and then let's talk about nouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs, okay? So the break rooms are going to open right now, and I'll see you guys in about 5-6 minutes. Hi, Snow, we're just going into small group. Oh, she's gone. Awesome.
Hi, Jeff. Sorry about too late. You're mute. I can't hear.
Thank you. Hi. We're in small groups, and we'll be there for another 3 or 4 minutes. So if I send you, will you? And they'll tell you what we're doing. Can I send you into one?
I don't know. If you want, yes. If you don't, I may stay here.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, are you? Can you are you in a place where you can talk and put on your video or no?
Yeah.
Okay, it's up to you. I'll send you into room 3. We're just really sort of you're kind of a heads up with it because you kind of know I'm still sort of making sure I answer people's questions about how to use Canvas, how to find the Zoom, and all this stuff that you kind of already know. But I'll send you into the room. At least you can talk to a few other students, and then I'll see you in about 3 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll send you to room 4. No, room 3. Hi, iPad.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're in small groups. Just hang out. I'm going to bring everybody back into the big room in about a minute or 2. So if you want, just stay in the big room with me, and then you'll hear what we were doing when people get back.
All right, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm really sorry, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you? I accidentally turned your microphone off. Can you unmute yourself? There you go. I'm so sorry about that.
Sir, it's okay, sir. I said I'm really sorry that I'm late like 20 minutes.
Oh, please. Like I said, there's no, if you've watched the video, or if I don't know if you were here last week, but there's no due dates. You don't have to come. I record the video so you can watch it whenever is best for you. I know today's a crazy day. Some kids' schools were canceled, so please, no worries at all.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'll bring everybody back.
Sir, I didn't understand. The other student cannot be connected or what?
No, they're in small groups. We're in small breakout rooms. So everybody's coming back now, but because, there we go. Because we were almost, so we're back, everybody. So if you want, you can turn off your video. We're coming back. So no, when people are in the small groups, if some people come into the big group, sometimes I'll just keep you in here with me for a minute so that you don't have to go into the big room.
Okay.
But we're back now. Most people are back. Galina's not back. There we go. Just Galina. Usually when students stay in the breakout room by themselves, it means they are not at their computer anymore. They walked away and they're alone in the breakout room. But we'll just get going. So again, my point here was not to do anything too difficult. It was just to say, are there any problems or questions people still have? And can I answer those questions for you? So did anything come up? Any Canvas questions, any computer questions? Let's just start with the business of this class, and then we're switching to grammar. So any questions?
For me, there's no question, sir. So
Ooh,
far.
I love that. That's good.
Thank you,
So
sir.
did you guys just get to talk to each other? How you doing? What's going on? You got to just talk like human beings instead of like students. That's cool. Yeah, Veronica.
I got my book.
Good. Okay, who's not saying good? She got her book. Anybody else having book stuff or any book problems, or is everything okay with the book?
Oh, actually, I
She's
didn't
got
receive
hers,
my
so
book
that's
from
good.
Amazon so far, sir.
Me too.
Okay, but did you were able to find it and order it?
Yeah, I ordered it already, but I didn't receive it.
Got it. Okay, well, I'll show you. I can show you all right now. You don't need to worry about that because even with these first lessons that I'm going to talk about and that I'm going to suggest you start this week, for example, with lesson 6, I was prepared for this from last year. I learned. So if you click on lesson 6, where it says read the language power tutorial 1, you can preview or download. I've scanned these pages in the book so that if you don't have the book, you can see an electronic copy. Now I know some people like paper, so I'm sorry if you like paper, you have to print it out or something, but at least you can find everything, read everything, and see everything. So if you don't have your book yet, you're still going to be able to do everything in Canvas, okay? And there it is.
Wow. Sir, can you say can you say it one more time that we can get the PDF you said?
Oh yeah, so this PDF is, and you'll see it again go through each week to see that I've designed Canvas, or, it's not designed, but just the way that I set it up. You can click modules, you can click assignments, you can click grades. Again, you'll hear me say this. One thing I love about Canvas is you can find information in different places. One thing I hate about Canvas is you can find information in different places. So
Yeah.
Veronica might get to her assignments from, Veronica might get to her assignments from modules, but Sepida might get there from grades. I mean, it's all different, right? It's all different. So for me, I'll just tell you the way I usually do it.
Daddy's studying, okay? Look, Daddy's classes.
Oh, Daddy's studying.
Right here.
You're
Daddy,
gonna, you'll probably hear my. Well, I'm gonna mute you. It's not personal. If you click on modules, you'll see all of the lessons that are available for you to start right now. You could also get there, like I said, from assignments, or you could get there from grades. But if you just click the one that says lesson 6, I try to make the instructions clear, right? Instructions say read language power tutorial, click that link, get the PDF, right? And then in fact, I'll show you more at the end of class. Then I also have a YouTube video that I've recorded for you where I go through the text with you, show you different examples, and get you ready for the activity to do after the reading. So that's where to find it.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yes. Okay, so any book questions? So even if you order your book and it's coming, great. If you order your book and you've got it, great. No matter what, you'll be able to get the pages you need to do the lessons. Any other questions about Canvas, about the book, about syllabus, about any of that business stuff? Oh, Veronica, did I see your hand?
I forgot the question.
Yeah, se fue. That makes sense. I was talking for a long time. Any other questions about these two? Problems, questions? Otherwise, let's talk parts of speech.
I don't have any questions, sir, but I really miss your background. I mean, my classes.
You miss your, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to choose this background because it does. It's like, how do we try to get that feeling a little bit back? So yeah,
it gives positive feelings for us. We hope to get back, from COVID.
No, I'm happy to hear that. I mean, I'm happy to hear that. Seeing the background is like, yeah. I was very happy when the school gave us these different pictures, and I love it because that, that's a classroom in Davies. That's a class that we could actually be in. It's not just some classroom in anywhere. It's from ARC. So. All right, parts of speech. And remember, you guys already probably know now after 2 weeks, I love to ask questions. I love to hear from you. So please unmute yourself, type in the chat, please. I think the way I like to teach is better when I get some response. So please feel free. So here's what we're going to do. Oh, hold on, let me fix this. I forgot to delete some stuff. So I want to start with a simple question. Oh, hold on, sorry. simple question. Seems like a simple question. And we'll use this as a quick way to talk about parts of speech. So this is our parts of speech warm-up. And I'm going to move kind of quickly today, but please quickly, fast. Don't be scared because everything I talk about fast, I talk about for 45 minutes in a video, okay, that I recorded for you guys. So we're going to just kind of do a quick warm-up, and we're especially going to talk about nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs today. So if you look at the word below, what part of speech is this word, and how do you know?
It's a noun, sir.
How do you know?
It's the place
It's
name.
a noun. Yeah, because
Place. Noun
Name
is
of
the name
place,
of
person or
place.
thing.
I love it. I heard everybody saying the right thing. Amazing students, great grammar students. Person, place, or thing. Sacramento's a place. It's got to be a noun. Boom. Okay, let's find out. How about these two sentences? Sacramento is a very nice city. I want to visit the Sacramento History Museum. Let's just look at the first sentence. Sacramento is a very nice city. Let's keep looking at the word Sacramento. What part of speech is Sacramento in this sentence?
It's a noun, sir.
It's a noun.
I agree. We seem to
Nice.
agree this is a noun.
Nice is a
Now,
noun.
how do we know it's a
Noun,
noun?
verb.
How do we know it's a noun?
Because this is the place.
Is no name of place.
Because
Good.
Because
It's a place.
a to-be verb is used
Sacramento
after
is
the noun.
place.
Good.
But
And if you,
adjective modified this noun.
Subject.
yes, good. We're going to talk about adjectives in a second here. Absolutely. So Sacramento is a place. Now, Sacramento is also the first word in this sentence, right?
Subject.
And if you think about, thank you very much, Hugh is on it. If you think about the subject, verb, object, and remember, if you're in Grammar 310, you probably already know this, or maybe you just speak very well, but remember, subject, verb, object. English is very strict about word order, right? If you're a Russian speaker, you know what I'm talking about. In Russian, you can put words wherever you want. The word order doesn't matter, right? Well, it matters, but it's much more free than in English. In English, we must have subject, verb, object, right? So in this case, what's our verb?
Eat.
Is.
Absolutely. There's only one. We don't even have helping verbs. We don't have anything. We've only got a verb. So we see, okay, there's the verb. Sacramento comes before the verb. It's a noun. So the other reason that we know it must be a noun is that Sacramento, in this case, is the subject of the sentence. And here's an always rule. This is a rule that you might not see in some of the more traditional old school grammar books. If a word is the subject of a sentence, it's a noun. I don't care if it looks like a verb. I don't care if it looks like an adjective. If it's the subject, it must be a noun in that sentence, right? And what this shows right away is the first rule you have to remember, and I'm going to type it up here now, is now, Professor Ferris, the author of the textbook that we're using, she loves this word context. Does anybody know what context means?
Yes.
What's it mean?
Details.
Ooh, okay. Details. Anybody else have an example for what context means?
And that include the page was from first to last page.
I love it. Haywood is saying it has to include all the information, right? It has to include the first page, the last page. I love that definition. Anybody else want to add for a meaning for, oops, sorry about that, what the word context is?
Contain.
Contain is good. I'm going to go to Learner's Dictionary. This is my favorite online dictionary for learners. And I'm just curious if we can get a clear definition here, how they're going to give us. And they'll give us an example sentence here. But so far, Haywood's example is fantastic, right? Context means I have to think about the word not just by itself, not just alone, but what does it look like beginning, middle, and end, right? Where is the word in the sentence? How is the word being used? Because context is everything in English. Here's the definition. I like this. The situation in which something happens, the group of conditions that exist where and when something happens. For example, example sentences. We need to look at the event within the larger context of world history. The book puts these events in their proper historical and social contexts. Now, again, if you're on your phone, if you're at your computer and you're still like, oh my God, I don't know what context means, just translate it. That's fine. But context is very important for understanding English parts of speech, because now let's look at the second sentence. I want to visit the Sacramento History Museum. Let's start, like I will always tell you to do. Where is the verb in this sentence?
Want.
Visit.
Visit.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Want to
Want.
visit. Want.
To visit.
Andre says want, Amanda says to visit. I heard two different options. We're going to talk much more about this when we talk about verbs in a couple weeks, but I will tell you right now, the verb here is want, right? And I'll explain what's going on after this here in a second, but first we'll find the main verb. And again, Amanda, if you're going, oh my God, what's happening? Give it a week. We're going to talk about verbs and verb phrases plenty. Okay, so if we've identified the verb, what is the subject of our sentence?
I.
Thank you. I definitely agree. I'm just going to choose a color for the subject. I'm going to pin my toolbar here. Yes, thank you very much. So already, I think amazing students, you're learning the rule. This is the subject, so I is the noun. And in fact, as we start to review this, I is a special kind of noun. Does anyone know what kind of noun?
Pronoun.
Thank you, Hugh. Yeah, I is a pronoun. He is a pronoun. She is a pronoun. Quick review here. Remember, all pronouns are nouns. All pronouns are just nouns, right? So I want to visit the Sacramento History Museum. So now we've got Sacramento History Museum. And now I'll ask this right away. What is the thing? What is the place I want to visit?
Sacramento History Museum.
Give me one word. What's the place that I want to visit?
Museum.
I agree. We seem to agree. Okay, so museum. This is probably the object, right? I am the subject. I want, and I want this thing, right? I want the object. So that means museum must be a noun. But what's going on then with Sacramento and history? What are they doing? Are they all
adjective?
Are they all? Hugh says adjectives. Are they all three nouns? Are they?
Now,
what's going on here?
Now a adjective. Now a adjective.
Hugh is saying adjective. Now I'm going to ask Hugh if you feel comfortable. Why? How do we know? Why would this be an adjective in this example?
Subordinate the museum. Subordinate the museum.
Because describe more about the museum.
Make clear the museum.
Good. Hugh is saying make clear. Amanda says describe the museum. Now I'll tell you the other word that you're going to see in Professor Ferris's book in Language Power is modify, right? Modify means change, give more information, clarify, like Hugh was saying. I think you're exactly correct. In this case, Sacramento is modifying the noun museum. What about history?
History adjective.
Adjective also.
Yep. Because what? Both this word Sacramento and history are modifying this noun museum, right? Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Good. No one's too scared yet. So remember, when I show you the word alone, Sacramento, oh, that's a noun, obviously, clearly, right? But then we see context. We have to see the word in its proper context. In that sentence, what part of speech is the word really, really doing? And another classic example of this, when I was at UC Davis and when you're studying linguistics, you get to see sort of stuff like this. For example, what part of speech is this? Stone.
No.
Yep. Because what's a stone? It's a thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a rock.
What if I say this? Yep. What's this? Stone house.
Compound noun.
Ooh, interesting. You could make that argument, but I'm going to disagree and say in this case, we're not going to treat things really like compound nouns. We're actually going to look at things as they. We're going to learn the rules about what defines a part of speech, and then you're going to see how they all come together in English. And I'm going to tell you, I like the rule that says a word that modifies a noun is an adjective, even if that word is usually a noun. We can look at some examples of compound nouns in the future. I want this idea to start to make sense, right? So even if it looks like a noun, even if most of the time it's a noun, there are certain rules we can learn about English parts of speech, about how they actually work, right? How they actually function when we're speaking and when we're writing. So even if you said compound noun, I support you. I'm just asking you to think about words in a little bit different way this semester, which is if I say I live in a stone house, the house is the noun, stone is usually a noun, but in that case, it's modifying the word house. It's acting like, it's functioning like an
adjective.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to look at some more examples of this, but first I just want to make sure I leave time for questions. Any questions about when you see in tutorial 1, when you look at language power and it says context, 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 this was an example to just give you this idea of what context is. Does this idea of context make sense?
Sir, I got a question, sir.
Yes, please. Good. This is perfect. I was going to say, if it doesn't make sense, stop me and let's talk about it. Yes, please.
Sir, according to a structure, we can see that, as you have also written about subject, verb, and object.
Yes.
But if we say, I want to visit the Sacramento History Museum.
Yes.
So I, the subject, want is a verb. To visit is like infinitive or stuff. So Sacramento History Museum is not an object completely if we count it as an object.
No, I agree completely. And now I'm trying not to scare you guys on the first day. So this is exactly what Bao was asking. You know, what is hard for me as a grammar teacher? I go too fast. Okay. So don't worry about what I'm going to tell you right now. But what we're going to, after we can talk about parts of speech, we can start to talk about how different parts of speech come together to make phrases and clauses. Okay. What I'm going to suggest to you is that this entire thing that I put in brackets, right, to visit the Sacramento History Museum, that whole thing is actually called a subject phrase. I'm sorry, object phrase, forgive me. That whole thing is the object phrase because I could replace that entire object phrase and I could say with a pronoun, I could say, I want it or something or that, right? I could replace all those words to the Sacramento History Museum with one single pronoun, which means that that whole phrase together is the thing that I want. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I was like, well, I might have scared him.
I have a question.
Andre, please, yeah.
So
if it's about, please.
Yeah, it's about want it. So the first sentence, I want to visit Sacramento History Museum. It's
Yes.
object phrase, and
Yes.
if we replace the last part, I want something, it will be objective phrase too.
Yes.
So
now again, Andre, you're asking a question that's kind of that's a structural linguistic question, but the way that I'm going to teach this class, the way that I'm going to ask you to think about language that will help free your mind. So instead of learning rules, you're sort of learning like the actual structure of the language. The short answer, Andre, is yes. Whether it's one word or a whole group of words, subject phrases have rules. And once you learn what a subject phrase does, whether it's 10 words or one word, you can put them together the same way. Does that make sense?
yeah, it makes sense. No, in my mind, it's more like, like easier way to understand. That's the last part. I can like cut it and place only one word.
I completely agree, Andre. I think at the beginning, this has been my experience teaching these classes the way I like to teach them. At the first 2 or 3 weeks, students are like, what is going on? This is so different. I don't understand. And that's okay, right? But eventually what happens is when you start to think about language in this way, it becomes much easier. So again, if you're watching this with me now live, or if you're watching the recording and you're going, oh my God, I'm so scared, give it a little time. I promise. Eventually, this way is so much better, you guys. It's so much better. It's so much better than just studying verb tenses. I promise. I promise. I promise. Okay, so then I do want to any other questions about context? Why context is important? I love it. Okay, then I want to introduce another, there's a little bit more vocabulary here that, again, this will help you get ready for the next few lessons. So as Professor Ferris talks about, the other word that I want us to get comfortable with when we talk about parts of speech is two big groups, two big categories of words in English. And which category the word belongs to is important once you learn the rule. So there's two groups. One is called content words, and one is called function words. Content words are nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Function words are pronouns, articles and determiners, auxiliaries, including modal auxiliaries, prepositions and conjunctions. Now, as you start to recognize this, as you start to figure this out, the easy way to think about it at the beginning is content words have meaning by themselves. Like you were saying, Sacramento, it's a place. I close my eyes, I can imagine what it looks like. There's the Gold Bridge, there's the pyramid, there's ARC, whatever, right? Or an adjective, when I say fast, that has meaning. You say, okay, it means a person who's moving, at a high speed, something like this. Function words don't really have meaning by themselves, right? They are grammatical words. And like I say on the slide here, they're kind of the glue that holds sentences together. For example, if I say the picture has a meaning, but if I ask you, what's the definition for the? I mean, what would you say, right? It's an article, it's the definite article. There's no real definition for meaning for articles like that, right? Now, pronouns, some of these get tricky because some of these words do feel like they have more meaning than others, but still here, content is all about rich meaning by themselves. Function words are words that we use to hold the glue of sentences together. Now, instead of thinking about this too much, I think we should practice a little bit. So for example, oops, let me make sure I'm going to actually create a new slide here. So how about in our example, so let's look at this example. Sacramento is a nice city, and I'll leave these up here, right? Content and function. Sacramento, content or function?
Content.
Content.
Good. Do we all agree? It sounds like most people agree. I'm going to make this smaller so we can actually keep this on the same line. Good. So we said nouns are content words. We already talked about in that example, Sacramento is the subject. It's got to be a noun. How about is content or function?
Content. Content.
Ooh, what part of speech is?
Be verb.
Verb.
Yes,
Verb
and
content.
if you look at this category, verbs are?
A verb.
Content.
Good.
A verb.
Good. Yes. Verbs are content words. Now, how about
Function.
Function or content?
Article.
Articles.
Good. Good. And we'll talk more about this. If you're looking at this, hey, if you're looking at this and not sure, is an article, the is an article, un is an article. Articles are here on the function word side. How about nice? What part of speech we get for nice?
Adjective.
I agree. Good. Content. And how about city?
Content.
Content.
Good. I'm very happy already. I think you guys seem really comfortable with identifying parts of speech, which is a good place for us to start, right? Because that means we don't have to review a lot of stuff before we get started. We can just sort of jump in. So I just want to make sure we label the parts of speech and then that we label them content or function words. So Sacramento is a content word, is a content word because it's the verb. Is an article, it's the function verb. Nice is a content word and city is a content word. Okay. Now, I want to talk about auxiliaries. Tell me what we know about auxiliaries, because this is one thing. People have so many different experiences with modals and helping verbs and auxiliaries. When I say auxiliary verb, what do you guys think of, or what have you seen in the past?
That's like helping verb for each sentences of tense.
Good. Okay, good. Helping verb for each sentence. Good. Anybody else? When I say auxiliary, what do you think?
Auxiliary verb like is, are.
Good. Okay, good. Depending on context, right? Sometimes is the main verb of the sentence. Other times it's a helping verb, right? Other times it's an auxiliary.
Yes.
So for us, this slide, as I'm saying, as I wanted to, the point of this slide is for me to tell you, when you look at Professor Ferris's book, when you watch my videos, when you come to Zoom, when I say auxiliary, I want to talk about a helping verb, a modal verb, any of these verbs. I'm just going to call this whole group of verbs an auxiliary. So for example, I do not want to live in Los Angeles. Do, auxiliary, right? Now, I should get more sleep. Other textbooks might give you a quiz question. Is should a modal or is it an auxiliary? No, okay? It's a modal, fine, whatever. But in this class, all modals are auxiliaries. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's getting quiet. I don't know if quiet means we're scared or quiet means we're okay.
It's not scared, it's
It's
destruction.
okay.
Andres, okay, good. And I can hold my breath, whether, again, if you called this a helping verb, if you would have called this a modal, it doesn't matter. These are all going to be called auxiliaries, and they are all going to be, again, function words. They are all function words. Questions about auxiliaries? We're going to look at some examples here on the next page. But any questions about auxiliaries? Because this is an important idea. Ooh, this class is confident. I'm feeling it. Hewad, please. Yes, Hewad, please.
Professor, I hear sometimes do in speaking, especially with native. When, for example, I went 2 days ago on market, like I look in something. I asked for him, like, can you find for me this stuff? He said, yes, I do. I like, yeah, I do here means like to make sure or emphasize, like, definitely I will do for you.
Oh, that's a good question. Let's look at, so for example, that's an interesting example, Hewad. I'm going to ask a doer. I'm going to ask a yes or no question for this example. Do you shop in this store a lot? Something like this. And then the answer might be yes, I do.
Yes, I
Is that
do.
the example?
Is it something? I know, like here the question do and the answer say yes, I do. Sometimes I hear
well,
like.
I will say this. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Hewad, but your example was, can you help me find this? Can you help me find the milk? Okay, if you say, can you help me find the milk? And the other person says, yes, I do. That's really incorrect grammar, right? That doesn't really work. And the reason
I say like, yes, I can, right?
Right. Well, the thing about this, yes, I can. Yes, exactly correct. Exactly correct. And let's actually use that example, Hewad, since you asked about can, and this is a good question because it's an auxiliary. Can you help me find this? Whatever it is. Can you help me find it? Okay. How about in the first sentence? Can you help me find it? What's the verb? Let's just stick with that. What's the verb?
Help.
Help.
Auxiliary.
I agree completely. Help is the main verb. Now, so what's up with can? What's going on?
Auxiliary.
Thank you. Now, how about in the answer? Yes, I can. Where's the verb in this sentence?
Can.
Can.
No. No. No verb.
And really, you're going to find out we do this in English all the time. There's like a hidden help in here. And this is why you can only say this as an answer to the question, right? Because if you walked into a room and you didn't know context, right? And you're like, yes, I can. Everyone would say, what are you talking about? You can what? What do you mean? What are you talking about? So when we talk back and forth, we sort of assume or we add in the main verb. In this example, can you help me find it? Help is the main verb. Can is an auxiliary. And my answer, yes, I can. Can is still actually an auxiliary because the main verb is there. It's just hidden. It's sort of, we remember it. And we don't, I mean, this might seem strange, but it's not that weird because we do this all the time as well with commands. So open the door, right? Very short sentence, open the door. Open is the verb. What's the subject of this sentence? Open the door.
Door.
Is it?
No subject.
No, not subject. Open.
The door is the object.
Door is the object. The door is the thing that gets opened. And really, we have, again, you're going to see when we read this chapter in the textbook, we have this kind of hidden, implied, we can find lots of different ways to describe it. But in commands, the subject is
you.
Hidden, right? It's unsaid. Exactly. Who's not said, you do this, right? Open the door, turn on the TV, go to the car. There is a subject. It's just not said and not spoken. And again, I know that might sound strange at first, but if you can remember that, then you will never think, oh, the door is the subject. No, I mean, the door is not the subject. The door is the thing receiving the action, right? The door is the thing being opened. The door isn't opening itself, right? So again, on the first day, I'm sort of giving you a bunch of ideas that you're going to practice for the next few weeks. But if these ideas even make a little bit of sense, then you're going to be ready, because we get to practice them in much more detail for the next few weeks. But to Hewad's good question, I just want to make sure, can you help me? Help is the main verb. Can is the auxiliary. Yes, I can. It looks like can should be the main verb, but it's still just an auxiliary. Okay. Any other questions about auxiliary verbs before we keep practicing?
Sir,
I love this class. Yes, please.
Sir, and mostly in a spoken English. So I see a lot of people use do for like single subject pronouns. Like I say she don't have it, but instead to say she doesn't have it. That's in a spoken English, right, sir?
Yes, correct. And depending on style, situation, that person might be making a choice to sort of like speak with a different sort of more casual style of English, or that could just be an error, right? Because third person singular, we know we need the S, right? Walks, talks, goes, does, doesn't. We know that's the grammar rule for third person singular. And again, we are going to, I've said, this class isn't just verb tenses, but we talk about verb tenses in this class. It's important. So again, that's another pretty much an always rule, right? Third person singular, especially in the present tense, you need an S. So
yeah.
Good. Any other questions about auxiliaries before we keep practicing these parts of speech and content function, all that stuff? Ooh, let's go then. All right. Subject, verb, object. I want to do parts of speech. We'll start with subject, verb, object, and we're going to keep kind of building on these sentences. Okay, first sentence. Sacramento can be very hot in the summer. I made it big and then I'm going to make it small again. Forgive me. Let's just start with subject, verb, object. What is the subject? Well, let's start with the verb. Generally speaking, when we start to identify the parts of speech of a sentence, thank you, the verb is almost always the easiest one to find. Yes. Good. What's the subject?
Sacramento.
Sacramento.
I agree.
Second.
Do we have an object?
Yes.
In the summer.
No. Summer, it's not an object.
Summer.
Yeah, summer is the object.
Yeah, very hot in the summer.
Hot.
Because summer is getting hot. So summer
Yes, summer is getting hot. Yes.
Summer is receiving the action.
Okay, let me give you an example. Let me ask you something. And again, this is why we start with verbs, because, okay, what comes out? How about this? How about this sentence? I'll give you, we know the subject is he. The verb is. What's this?
There is no object.
Adjective.
I agree completely. Now, I'm showing you this because look at this sentence. He is tall, right? And I'll show you again the difference. He gave, let's use that example. Okay, so now we know opened is the verb. He is still the subject, and we do have an object, right? Now,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you again. Oh, yes, I love this class so much. Okay, there's two big clues here. How do we know that this is an object?
Modify verb.
Action.
It receives the action of the verb. And what part of speech is the door?
Object pronoun.
What part of speech? Noun, adjective, adverb, verb.
Noun.
Object.
No.
Noun. Door is noun.
Noun, but here
Remember-
is object.
In this case, yes, but that's right. Remember, subject in English, this is what I said at the beginning about subjects, and now I get to tell you the truth about objects too. If it's an object, it's a noun. Right?
Yes.
Objects are things. Think about this example from Andre, right? Like why we can call this, or Andre was asking about the where did my phrase go? I'm already losing track of my own ideas. I want to visit it, something, that, right? We could do the pronoun or we could do this whole noun phrase. It's still going to act like a noun, right? It's still going to act like a noun, whatever it is. So he opened the door. The door is a noun. It's receiving the action. It's got to be an object, right? Tall, what part of speech?
Adjective.
Adjective.
Yes. And what is it describing?
The noun.
No.
He is describing noun.
No.
Yes, it is describing, in this case, the subject, right? It's describing the subject of the sentence. Now, if we look at this example, summer can be very hot in the summer. Okay, we do have a noun, so that's interesting information. Okay, that is very interesting information to think about. But now we need to ask ourselves, is it receiving any of the action, or is this just a sentence with no object? What do we think?
No object.
It's not receiving any action.
No,
I
very
agree
very
completely.
hot will be the action to the summer. I
No.
think.
It's adjective.
I heard Andre. Andre, think about it this way.
Adjective.
I'll put this back in a second. Okay, in the summer, I'm going to put this back in a second, but I want you guys to see the difference. Okay, Sacramento can be very hot. In this example, is very hot like tall up here, or is very hot like the door up here?
Hot.
Tall.
Yes.
How does the adjective, where is the adverb? Sorry.
Adjective.
Yes, exactly. And we're good. Yeah, thank you. I love whoever said very is an adverb. You're going to love this class. You're already ahead of it. Adverbs modify adjectives, not just adverbs. Just a little preview for this week. So yes, that's exactly correct. Hot is an adjective, and it goes back to describe the subject. This is an adjective, right? It is not a noun. It can't be an object, right? It can't be an object. But now what we need to ask ourselves is, if I put this back, can be very hot in the summer, is in the summer modifying, what is it modifying? And even though it is a noun, is it an object? What's going on? What do we notice?
Hot.
That's hot only in summer, very hot.
Modify. Hot.
Modify Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Hot.
No,
In the summer.
I'm going to show you right now. And it's absolutely, I want everybody to be clear here. It's not a problem that you can't answer this today. It's the first day and your guys' answers are already fantastic. But what I'm going to teach you right now is when you start to learn it more function words. Before I explain this, we said this is a noun, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do we have here? What's this? Can.
Auxiliary.
I agree.
So sorry.
Yep. No, do not apologize. I love people. Just jump in. That's the whole point. Yes, can is the auxiliary. What part of speech is be?
Verb.
Thank you. Very, I am just going to tell you, adverbs modify adjectives. So even if that doesn't look like an adverb, don't worry. I'll explain it next week. Adjective. What's this? What's in?
Reposition.
Yes, I hear you saying preposition. And how about the
article?
Yep. And summer.
Now.
Summer noun.
Now.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Now, there's something I'm going to show you right now, and we're going to talk about it more.
Be.
This is why we need to get ready for phrases, right? Because in the summer is what's called
object.
Is called a prepositional phrase. And if you've never heard
Sacramento
of this,
in the moment.
don't worry about it at all. Prepositional phrase. This is why, and I'll explain to you why am I showing you guys so much and scaring you guys on the second week. The rule that you're going to learn about prepositions is in, at, of, by, to, and for. But one rule that you'll also learn when you go through tutorial 1 is all prepositions must be followed by an object noun. But that object is the object of the preposition, not of the verb, right? And think about this: in the summer, in the car, by the window. Someone else give me prepositional phrases. Give me in, at, of, by, to, finish like this. Give me something. Under the what?
Under the water.
Under the water. I love it. How about
In
how
the,
about
in the,
on the what?
On the table.
On the beach. I love it. On the table. I love it. How about, give me more. How about through what?
through my eye. Through my eyes.
Through the building.
Through my eye. Oh my God, I'm worried about you. I hope you're okay. I hope your eye is okay. Through my eye. I love it. How about we'll do one more. In is a great one. How about in what?
Inside maybe.
In the kitchen.
In the room.
Inside the what, Andre? I heard in the kitchen. Inside the what, Andre?
The box.
Is inside the box, yes.
I love it. Inside the box. Now you start to see, I promise you're going to start to notice this when you're listening to people, when you're reading. Look at prepositions, you guys. Prepositions must be followed by an article and a noun. Have to be, right? In the car, under the water, through my eye, by the window, on the beach, in the box, inside the box, whatever. Behind the couch, under the whatever. So what happens is when you learn the rules of how phrases come together, you don't need to ask yourself, wait a minute, is that an object for the verb? No, because this in the summer cannot be an object, because the summer is actually an object noun phrase to the preposition. Right? And again, I know I'm talking about this very quickly, but if you go, wait, the summer comes after a preposition, that means that it's the object noun phrase for the preposition. That means it can't be the object for this sentence. So I don't need to worry. Does this make sense? When you start to see how things come together, you don't have to guess anymore. I think one thing I love about teaching grammar is with super intelligent and motivated students like you guys love to, it's good to guess, right? You look at a sentence, you're like, object, wait, no, that's the subject. No, that's the verb. I promise you, I can teach you these rules so that you don't have to guess, right? Like, even if you can just do it by eliminating, process of elimination, just by going, it can't be this, it can't be that, so it has to be an object noun phrase. It will help. It's just gonna, it helps people's grammar so much. It helps people's grammar so much. So
hello, Professor.
Does this make sense about why yes, tell me.
What
Please.
is NP means?
NP, you're gonna talk more.
Now,
we're gonna talk much more.
Pray.
Thank you.
Now
Sandy,
pray.
thank you. Hugh is already helping you. Sandy, when we talk about phrases come after parts of speech. Okay, so I'm introducing the idea now. I'll always say this, I'm like planting a little seed in your brain. Once you get parts of speech comfortable, a phrase means a group of words, right? But I want you to be able to identify the part of speech in that group before we start to talk about phrases. So NP means noun phrase, VP means verb phrase, right? And again, don't worry about how do I know what that is today, Sandy? We'll get there in 2 or 3 weeks. We'll be there. You will be able to find noun phrases like, no problem, I promise. Just give me a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great question. Okay. Now I want to keep practicing this. Oh, and let's do this together. I'll add one more layer here. Sacramento, remember, content and function. Content has meaning, function doesn't. Sacramento, content or function?
Content.
Content.
Oh, good. One person. And I'll show you the screen again. It's not fair. These are the parts of speech, content and function. Just do a little quick review. Take a look. Remind yourself. Content, noun, verbs, adjective, adverbs. Everything else is a function word. So if we look at this same sentence, whoops. Sacramento is a content word. Can is an auxiliary. Is that content or function?
Function.
Function.
Love it. Be is a verb,
Will.
content or function?
Content.
Thank you. Vary is an adverb, content or function?
Function. Function.
Content.
No. Adverb is a content.
Content.
Adjective?
Content.
Preposition?
Function.
Article?
Function.
Yep. And noun?
Content.
Love it. Good. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. So again, we're going very fast, but everything we're reviewing today, you are going to get to practice a lot more in the first couple lessons. Okay. So let's do the same thing here. We already did this. I don't want to do subject, verb, object. I don't want to scare you. Let's just do parts of speech in this much longer sentence. And then we'll talk about content and function. And then I'm going to introduce the lessons, because this is what I really just wanted to do, is show you some ideas, answer questions, and then show you how to start practicing some of this stuff. But I'm very happy with how we're doing here. So my sister loves reading history books in Italian, but sometimes she feels bored while she is reading. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff going on here. Let's go parts of speech. Let's identify the verbs. I already kind of did, actually. Loves.
Feel.
And feel.
Is.
And sister
S.
is what do we got?
B.
Yes, thank you. The subject, I love it. And she is also the subject, right? So let's do the rest. My. We haven't talked about this, but does anyone have a guess? What part of speech is my?
Possessive pronoun.
Possessive pronoun. Okay, good. I love possessive pronoun. You're close, but not quite. What's the difference between my sister?
No, subject pronoun.
Integration.
Thank you. Well, what's the difference between this? My sister likes it. It is mine. I'll tell you right now.
This is
We're going to
object
talk about this a lot this semester. So let me just tell you. This is a possessive pronoun, right? It is mine. Mine is a possessive. This is actually what we're going to call this semester is a determiner. And it's called a possessive determiner. And if you've never heard that word, don't get scared. I'm going to talk about it a lot over and over and over again. And it is the difference between my and mine, he and his, her and hers, there and there, right? There is a big grammatical difference between my and mine. And instead of calling them one a pronoun and whatever, one is called a possessive determiner and one is a pronoun, okay? And again, don't get scared. We'll talk much more about that in the next few weeks. Sister, what part of speech, subject or noun, adjective, verb, whatever?
Subject.
What part of
It's
speech
noun,
is sister?
subject noun.
It's noun.
Thank you. And verb?
Loves.
Loves.
And loves?
Loves is verb.
Thank you. And how about reading?
Children.
Mm-hmm. So what part of speech is a gerund?
Noun.
Noun.
Yep. I'll tell you right now, this was like when Andre was asking earlier. We can replace this whole thing with my sister loves it. My sister loves something. My sister loves whatever. We'll talk much more about this soon, but let's leave reading alone for a second. History books. What part of speech here? In this sentence, context.
Adjective.
Adjective.
Yes, I love it. Books.
Noun.
Object.
But here is noun.
That's object noun.
Preposition.
In preposition.
Yes. In is a preposition, which means Italian must be what?
Adjective.
Art.
Now.
Italian is
Italian,
noun.
Now.
for
Noun.
preposition phrase.
Now?
Yes,
Now.
Thank you very much. You guys are very fast learners. I love you all already. It's fantastic. Yes, if it comes after a preposition, even if Italian, you could say Italian language, Italian history, and it would be an adjective. But in this case, books in Italian, it's one word. It's after a preposition. There is an always rule. I promise you, if you're watching the recording, this is an always rule. English prepositions must have a noun phrase after them. Always, always, always. So even if it looks like an adjective, that word in this case, Italian, is a noun. It is the object noun phrase to the preposition in, right? Now, but we didn't talk about too much, but this is a
Conjunction.
conjunction. Good. How about sometimes? Does anyone, we didn't talk about these too much, but does anyone remember or want to guess?
Adverb.
Yeah.
Adverb.
Adverb of time.
What verb is exactly right? Adverbs of time. And what verb sometimes, what verb is sometimes modifying?
As in different pronouns.
Subject.
Which verb? Which verb is the word sometimes? Thank you so much.
No.
Yep, that's right. We're describing when does she feel? Sometimes. Sometimes she feels. She is a noun. We already said feels is the main verb here. And what part of speech? Bored?
Adjective.
Adjective.
Definitely. This is like the he is tall example, right? We have subject, verb, linking verb, right? It's not an action verb, it's describing it, or a stative verb. You might have seen the phrase stative verbs in other classes. Bored goes back to modify the subject. Here it's an adjective. How about while?
Conjunction.
Adverb.
Adverb.
Conjunction.
Ooh, conjunction. I heard conjunction. I heard adverb.
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 We're going to talk much more about this. I'm not, it is very hard. We're not going to worry about this right now, because if I tell you, you'll get scared, and I want to tell you when you feel more comfortable. She is a pronoun.
Pronoun.
Yep. And how about is?
Verb.
Verb.
Auxiliary.
Be a verb.
I think I heard Husna saying ox, right? Because what's the main verb in this? Where's the meaning?
Reading.
Reading. Continuous. Present progressive.
That's right, right? So my sister, and actually I want to be more specific here so that we're clear right from the beginning. She is a pronoun, feels bored while she is reading. And again, this one, I wanted to say two things right now. If you're like, okay, Jeff, I get some of this and I don't get some of it. I get some, but I don't understand the rest. If you're looking at this going, reading history books in Italian, what's going on? While she is reading, what's going on? We'll get there. Because what you start to see, and I'm going to finish up here. I want to take questions and then we'll finish up. What you start to see is even in a sentence like this, right? My sister loves reading history books in Italian, but sometimes she feels bored while she is reading. I want your opinion. Does this look like a really complex, difficult sentence to you guys? Or what do you think? Is this beginning, intermediate, super advanced? What do you think?
Super advanced.
Oh, Andre says super advanced. Do we all agree?
No, it depends to everybody's talent, you know. It depends to everybody's experiences.
I guess let me say this. If you read this sentence in a book, my sister loves reading history books in Italian, but sometimes she feels bored while she's reading. If you were reading that book, I agree, Andre. If you were reading that book, would you go, oh, this is way too hard, I can't understand, or would you still understand the reading?
If I reading it or write it, it's okay. But if I speak those kinds of sentence, it is hard.
Sure,
hard to do it right.
I love it. Sandy's talking good. Sandy's talking about the difference between reading and speaking and writing. I totally agree. Anybody else have an opinion on the level of this sentence? I think, I'm going to mute you real quick. In my opinion, this sentence is a pretty intermediate sentence. I think anyone in this class can read it and understand it, right? When it becomes advanced is when I ask you, okay, what's the grammar in this sentence? And I'm saying that because you start to see, even in an intermediate sentence, the grammar can be quite complicated, right? The grammar can be quite difficult. So I think I'm not showing you these sentences to scare you. I'm trying to show you that even in sentences that seem pretty normal, there's some really, I think, cool, interesting stuff going on with the grammar, right? So, for example, reading history books in Italian, this is called object noun phrase. While she is reading, excuse me.
Clause.
This is called a dependent clause. Now, he was going to be my teacher's assistant in this class. Yes, but before we start to understand phrases and clauses and how they come together, we've got to understand individual parts of speech. Because I think, honestly, like all things in human life, human beings are social animals. The thing that gives life meaning to us is connections and relationships. And I promise you, what makes grammar fun and interesting is when you start to see words have relationships to each other in a sentence, right? And what we're starting to do this first 3 weeks is you start to see the relationship between the words in a sentence. And like I said, at first it feels like, oh God, it's different. And I want to just write verb tenses. But I promise you, eventually you get to a place where you're like, oh, I know what a phrase is. Like, I know how a phrase you can put a phrase together with a clause and make a really interesting sentence, and that's the whole purpose of the first week or two. Any questions about this example sentence or anything? Any questions about anything, really?
So what is it reading?
Where?
Here? In the middle sentence, yes. Loves reading. So
present participle.
The noun?
There's no there's I was gonna say, don't get mad. Now again, different linguists, again, I've said this in classes before. I went to UC Davis and studied linguistics at the PhD classes, right? You can have people with a PhD in linguistics who will disagree about these type of parts of speech questions, okay? I'm not training you guys to be PhDs in linguistics. So I'll always tell you, some people might say this and some people might say that. I'm never going to ask you a quiz where I say, like, you must tell me the one perfect part of speech, and if you get it wrong, you fail the class. No, but I will tell you, sort of, once you learn the rules, you'll start to see why, well, in that sentence, running kind of has to be a noun. Why? Because it's acting like a noun in that sentence. Yes, please. Yes, and plus, again, some people are saying, well, running, ing, gerund, again, looks like a verb, acts like a noun, got to be a gerund. Okay, that means it's a noun, right? But I think Andre's question is still a very good one, which is, well, how does running connect with the rest of that phrase to give us an object noun phrase, right? And that's a great question, Andre, and it will take more than one class for me to answer it for you. Any other questions about these examples? Anything? Yeah, tell me, please, Sandy. Give it to me.
Could you go back? Yeah. So, in this sentence, can I use to read instead of reading?
No.
That part I always confuse. Sometimes
yes, and you're not. Infinitive versus ing. I promise you, Sandy, we're in the section that's all about verbs, because we have a whole section in, well, I think Professor Ferris has 3 tutorials about verbs. There's an entire tutorial about infinitive versus ing. So my promise to you too, Sandy, is if you keep coming to class, instead of guessing, I think especially for, well, students from all over the world, but I think students are like, okay, I know it's supposed to be ing or infinitive. I don't know which one. I'm just going to guess. I promise you, I will teach you the rule that will help you choose instead of just guessing. So it's okay if you don't know today, Sandy. I promise we're going to talk a lot about it this semester.
Professor, so the whole
Please.
Humphrey reading history book in Italian as an objective.
Yes.
They modify love. Humphrey reading history book in Italian is an objective. It's subordinate. Modified for love.
Cannot hear.
In this case, I heard him. I think he was asking, I put these in brackets, right? Reading history books in Italian.
Yeah. This is the objective. All group of this phrase objective.
It's actually, this is an object noun phrase here. And Hugh, actually, in a certain way, this has to be a noun. Reading has to be a noun because it is a noun phrase. The whole thing acts like a pronoun, right? You could say, my sister loves it. My sister loves that. My sister loves something. Because you can replace because you can replace the entire phrase with a single pronoun. That's the most important test to understand. Is this an object pronoun phrase, right? So does that help a little bit, Hugh?
Yes.
And I don't want to scare anybody, but just so Hugh sees, I'll put object NP, right? This whole thing is the object noun phrase. And again, Hugh, if you want to know more about this, we're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at this a lot. We're gonna look at this a lot. And if you're not Hugh and you're going, oh my God, what is Jeff talking about? Don't worry. You have plenty of time. You have plenty of time. Other questions?
Can I still ask another question?
You better, please get in here. What's up?
So for that, while she is reading, if I use while, I should always use that present continuous or not?
No.
This is
I'm so glad you're here, Sandy. You're in the perfect class. You are in the right place, Sandy. The real answer is in this case, while is a subordinator, and whether it's an adjective, whether it's a subordinator or an adverb, it really doesn't matter. The adverb or the conjunction is never going to determine, is never going to make you use a specific verb tense. It's the exact opposite, Sandy. In English, the verb is the boss. The verb runs the sentence. So even more important than any other part of speech is the speaker, the writer has to know the meaning that they want to convey. So the meaning is the only thing that matters for the verb tense. Other parts of speech do not determine verb tense.
So in this case, can I change to she while she reads?
Yes. Yep.
It's also correct. Oh, I see.
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Great example, Sandy. It proves what I was saying, right? The subordinator does not determine the verb tense because you just created a sentence, you changed the verb tense, and the grammar was great. So I love that example, Sandy. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else about this sentence or our sort of general introduction to parts of speech before I show you the lessons I want you to try in Canvas?
I had a question, Professor.
Q, please.
Why history book we can change the history, the historic book or historical book we change is a history, not the name, the now we can change adjective of historical or historical book, something like it. Why we use the history? Yeah. We can use like
that would be, so the difference, historical is in this sentence, historical is an adjective in this context, and history is an adjective in this context. And if your question, Hugh, is when do I use one, when do I use the other? Now you're really talking about stylistic choices, right? The feeling you want the reader or the listener to have when they hear or read your words. So that's really just a choice for you as the speaker or the author. And like I said, it's about style, what you like, what sounds better, what feels better to you. But the structure of the sentence, the structure of English grammar still means either one is going to function like an adjective.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Last call before I show you what's up. Yes, hey, what?
I want to know about the history or historical. In my opinion, historical we can use like specific period, like this is historical moment that we see president.
Yeah, and you said this is a historical moment. You still have historical before the noun that it modifies. It's still acting like an adjective. And hey, what it sounds like for you, you're saying historical is a more specific time period. That's great. Yeah, that's totally, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I'll just agree. I say, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Let's talk homework.
No questions.
Yeah, Andre's like, that's I agree. What happens when I think about an hour to an hour and 20 minutes is enough. Like our brain eventually stops working. It's like you kind of get the idea and then it's time to let it be and practice a little bit. So here's what I want you to do, and I'll show you how to do it in Canvas. So my suggestion is before next week, complete lesson 6, lesson 7, lesson 8. All of this is much more practice, going much slower with information to review, all of tutorial 1. And again, I'll show you what this looks like in Canvas and how to do it. So if you go to modules and you click on lesson 6, I already showed you some of this, but what you'll see is you'll find the PDF if you don't have the book and you still need, you need the PDF to read through. So as I said, read language power tutorial 1. I'm curious, we can talk next week about, did this feel like a lot? Was it too long, too short? We'll talk more about it, but go slow, take your time, right? However long it needs to take you. You can also, while it's opening. So it's 11 pages. Again, there's, I think it's fair. I think it's G310 level. The other thing you can do is if you don't want to read, you can just watch my video. So if you click the link, I have a YouTube video. Let me pause here. There's a video of me in my office when we could go into the office in person, and I'll show you what it's like. My internet's slow, but give me a second. Guys, such a popular video, 85 views. Oh, so, I mean, the internet was just going crazy with my tutorial about English grammar. Let's see if we can get this.
Hi, everybody. Professor Jeff here. Are going to get started with the first
Can you guys hear the sound?
tutorial or chapter in
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So what you'll see is you can also turn on closed captions. So you can be talking if you want, because YouTube does that for me easy. So on the screen, I project the book on the screen. You hear me read through the text, explain some examples, give you more information about some of the ideas. So my dream is that it feels like I'm there with you while you're reading, answering questions for you and explaining ideas from the reading. So you'll read language power tutorial, you'll watch the video where I explain, and then it's called a quiz, but again, it's really just a chance for you to practice the idea. Like I show you up here, you get 3 attempts at this quiz. Okay, so if you get, it's for 10 points. If you get 6 points the first time, take it a second time and get 9 points, and then take it a third time and get the full 10 points. I'm not trying to get you a low score. I'm trying to help you practice and practice and practice so you understand the things that we're learning, okay? And if you go back and look at lesson 7, it's basically the exact same thing. All lesson 6, lesson 7, and lesson 8 are all about tutorial 1. So once you read tutorial 1, that's the PDF that I was showing a second ago. I closed it. Oh, there. Once you read tutorial 1, watch my video for tutorial 1. You're ready to complete 6, 7, and 8. And lesson 7 is just more practice identifying parts of speech in context. So here's the example. Here's the instructions. For each sentence, identify the part of speech of the underlined word as a noun, verb, adjective, or adverb. We're just starting with the content words in this quiz first. Then explain how you chose the answer by referring to purpose clues, word part clues, or grammatical clues. Example, Sacramento is very foggy in the winter. Part of speech, okay, winter is a noun. Winter is a thing. Also, winter comes after an article, the, right? We always need nouns after articles. That's a big rule in English. And it is the object of a preposition. Like we were saying, in the winter, and I will never forget Hugh's example, through my eye. So now we have preposition, we have an article, we have a noun. Well, this has to be the object noun phrase to the preposition, right? Another example, I went yesterday. Yesterday is underlined. It's an adverb. How do we know it's an adverb? It's a time word. It modifies the verb went. It answers a WH question about when something was done. So that's the type of activity I'm going to ask you to do for lesson 7.
Oh.
I heard, any questions about lesson 7?
I thought you just click noun, pronoun. Okay.
Well, lesson 6 is click noun. Lesson 6 is multiple choice. Lesson 6 is, fast. Lesson 7, I'll make you think just a little bit, just a little bit. And then lesson 8 is exactly the same thing, but we're practicing with function words instead of content words, right? So that book, give me that. More practice with some of that stuff. Now, if you do lesson 7 and lesson 8 and are still confused, do not worry. Next week's lecture is all about reviewing content versus function words. Today, I just introduced them. Next week, I get to answer your questions, the questions that come up from you taking the lessons, and give you some more specific examples. Okay, everybody. So that is my suggestion before next week, is to read Language Power Tutorial 1, watch my video where I explain Tutorial 1, and then complete lesson 6, 7, and 8. Questions? If you don't have questions, get out of here. You're wonderful. I'll see you next week. If you do have questions, I can stay and answer your questions one-on-one, of course. Hey, what is it, a question just for you or for the whole class?
I say bye.
Oh, okay. Then if no one has any more grammar questions, I'm going to stop the recording. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording right now. Hold on one second.